grief. Oh yeah, I can't forget that. Yeah. To lament the passing of Doug Goodman's youth. We pay our respects to a man destined for an inevitable downward spiral into a miserable abyss of bitterness and regret. Doug is being put out to pasture by his grieving widow, Michelle. And for good reason. Just look at it. A feeble, pathetic carcass of a man. Doug's fragile, wilted fingers can no longer grasp the baseball cards that once provided tackle. His eardrums have lost all elasticity, unable to register the ferocious chords that once blew his face through the back of his head. Okay, his brittle, spindly bones are but a sad reminder that the days of stealing bases and diving off stages are but a distant, bittersweet memory. The gaunt, dark eye sockets have lost their luster. His mind has turned to mush. Tour itineraries have become chaotic, labyrinthine mysteries impossible to comprehend and navigate. Okay? When we lost Doug's youth, we lost an excitable, gregarious man whose generosity was felt by all. Doug demonstrated joyful ability to embrace life, even when accountings confirmed that his tour expenses far exceeded his earnings. Doug could smile sweetly and shrug as the Dodgers stumbled through the most dismal of seasons, as if to say, there's always next year. These are things that neither he nor we will ever get back as he sinks into irrelevance and obscurity. But not all is lost. Doug, perhaps it's too early to completely discount your spirited force of nature.
Should this Bible be turned upside down?
It's not a Bible. It's not a Bible. It's a flask with 2 shot glasses.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be an inverted cross.
Holy Hammered.
Yeah. Well, the book of the Holy Hammered. Yeah. Perhaps it's too early to completely discount this spirited force of nature, however pathetic, ghastly, and wince-inducing his appearance. As the Grim Reaper descends on what's left of Doug's quickly deteriorating mind and body, I rest assured that like the baseball heroes he so idolized in his youth, Doug will go down swinging. He will rebel against the aging process, defiantly flipping off fate even as his black wings embrace him. He'll laugh in the face of impending mortality. Doug will engage fellow nursing home comrades in lively rounds of colostomy bag keep away. He will transform catheters into squirt guns. Therapists will use his beloved scorecards to cue his memory and slow down the cruel onset of insanity. Most importantly, with adaptive equipment, Doug will be taught how to don his beloved Evo t-shirt, however feeble he becomes. All right.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to proceed with a couple of anecdotes from his parents initially. Okay. And then his beloved widow, Michelle. I have a couple of things here to go over, so bear with me. I know it's a trying time for everyone. Okay. In fact, let us pray, please. Doug may have forever lost his youth, but he leaves an impressive legacy of goodwill, humor, and genius. Consider these chuckle-inducing reflections of younger Doug, most of which were kindly compiled by his distraught wife, Michelle, and parents, Don and Neva, despite their emotionally fragile states. Okay, a little bit of background history on Doug. He was the first grandchild on both sides of the family. Douglas Richard Goodman was born on April 2nd, 1963, in Halesburg, California. Okay. His dad
I remember
remembers
the day well.
You remember the name? Okay. His dad remembers having to hold him as he screamed while getting his first haircut. And Dad, after all these years, he still goes to the same barber. Yeah. He sent a picture of Doug screaming in the barber's chair, but unfortunately it didn't carry over to my phone. Unfortunately, nice memory. It was difficult to get Doug up and off to school, as Mom recalls, an amusement. But other than that, he was a good-natured kid most of the time. Okay. At 16 years old, Doug started an illustrious career bagging groceries at Shop and Save. Okay. Dave, his boss, forgot to have him fill out a job application, and when Doug reminded him, his parents reflect with a chuckle. Dave got all flustered because Doug wasn't even 18, the hiring age, right? And your parents say you do a really great impression of Dave. Is there? Can you give us an?
Oh, I don't think I can do that. Nobody in the room would get it except for them.
Well, it means
Who's Dave?
He was the boss at the grocery store.
As
He
everyone
hired me
knows.
so I'd quit coming in looking for a job.
That's right, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Doug is an avid Dodgers fan. Now, when Doug graduated from high school in 1981, his mom remembers her son defiantly slapping a Dodger sticker onto the podium. As the graduates were walking out,
Defiant, it was
reports
secret.
mom noticed, I heard giggles around us. I finally located Doug in the line. People were giggling because he had his Dodger hat on. I had specifically told him to leave it at home, so much for minding mom. You rebel, you.
Rebel.
Now, when the graduates arrived at their seats, Doug put his mortarboard on for the ceremony. But after Doug received his diploma, recalls mom in a mixture of humor and irritation,
Who did you receive his diploma from?
he stopped at the top of the stage stairs and with great flourish whipped off his mortarboard and put back on his Dodger hat. Everyone cheered except for her.
But who handed him his
I
diploma?
forgot to put that in there.
My dad handed me my diploma, because he was on the school board. And I said, should I? And Dad said, oh, what the hell. So I actually
I didn't
had
hear
parental permission
So your
to
parents
put the
sanctioned
hat on,
They
yes.
sanctioned
Yes,
that.
my mom may have been
No,
embarrassed.
no,
No,
it
no.
wasn't paid.
Oh, my mom was still embarrassed, but my dad
We
approved.
divorced the next day.
Mom didn't know that.
Dad was the cool one, the cool
Yeah.
parent, right? Okay, but the story doesn't end there. Doug's disrespectful stunt was not appreciated by everyone. A week later, the local paper reflected this. Within it contained a scathing letter, written by a woman who had graduated several years before. Despite these detractors, Doug had his cheering squad of supermarket customers to back him up. As he thoughtfully bagged her groceries, one of Doug's little old ladies proclaimed that whoever wrote the letter could just go fuck themselves.
I did not write that. I said she said the F word.
I forget who that was, but I do, yeah, it was this little tiny old lady. She should go fuck herself.
And the
I had never
gal,
cursed until
and
then.
the gal that wrote it was only about 2 or 3 years older than Doug. I mean, it wasn't like
Yeah, well,
Is
shame on
now?
her.
she
Shame
was
on
not
her. What a
perfect.
prude.
No, no.
Okay, and Doug's father wrote me with some interesting memories about how important baseball was in Doug's life. He said his favorite memory with his son was when both of them visited the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. You remember that?
I did.
So do I.
It was only like 2 years ago.
I know, but you're old now, dear. The memory.
Yeah, the memory is going.
It's been longer ago than that.
Also stopping in at Doug's favorite place in the whole world, Yankee Stadium. Wow. And they capped off the trip by attending a Dodgers-Yankees game in Dodger Stadium. Good memories. Go Yankees! Okay.
Yeah, good year for that.
A couple other things. Doug, as we know, has a supreme gift for the gab. He was always enthusiastic when he was doing something he wanted to do, his parents confirmed. And talkative when there was someone interesting to talk to. Predictably, baseball was a favorite topic of conversation, but it wasn't always this way. Doug's dad would say, Doug, do you have any friends? All you do is sit around and read. Perhaps this blooming loner mentality and introverted phase ignited the fuse for Doug's insatiable appetite for heavy metal
I was
music.
gonna say, then KJ and Brian Luke came into my life.
Well, Robert Mendez started it.
His parents state our claim to fame is when Slayer spent the night at our house.
What about Jay-Z breaking the basketball hoop off of your parents' garage? That's pretty
We didn't know him. We weren't there.
Well, there's some other stories I'm sure later on in the evening if you survive the night. Okay.
If
So,
it's not past his bedtime.
that's right. Yeah. What,
He was
7
coming home
o'clock?
to take a nap.
Yeah, I was ready for bed. Dodgers are on TV right now, by the way.
Yeah, killing it because he's not watching the game right now.
Now,
I've heard all
killing
those
it.
stories. Why don't you guys tell them and I'll go watch the game?
Oh, bear with me.
There's a video presentation you don't want to miss.
The dementia, please don't let that get in the way of the information. Doug's parents beamed with pride as Doug furthered the career of a band whose most popular song was Necrophilia. Okay, this led to an abrupt change of direction in Doug's career path. His mother remembers a fateful conversation with her son. I was in the store one day and Doug asked me if I was going to be home at lunchtime. I said I was. So Doug came home and announced that he had turned in his notice to the store. No more bagging. He was moving to Malibu to work with a guy who merchandised t-shirts for bands. His disreputable friend KJ had recommended it. 2 weeks later, he packed his car and away he went. Okay, stay with me here.
Last time we saw him.
Doug caught the rock and roll road fever, and eventually he took on tour management as a livelihood. Now, as we all know, one of Doug's many honorable traits is his effort to remain in touch with friends and family, regardless of how demanding his tour schedule might become. Very, very true. According to his parents, Doug was especially devoted to checking in with his grandma. This is a great story. They even played a game of Scrabble when he was traveling, recalls Mom. He would call us with his play, we would pass it on to Grandma, and then he would call her for her play. His grandma, who stood all of 5 feet tall, was often miffed when Doug beat her at the game, calling him that little shit. Doug's progressive, now this is where his grieving widow starts coming into things here. Doug's progressive deeper immersion into the dark sort of recesses of rock and roll management would shape his fate in wild, wonderful ways. One glorious day in 1992, from the decrepit recesses of the Ventura Theater, he spotted the lovely, statuesque blonde siren who would become his muse, lover, and soulmate.
I'd like to know who that was.
We
I
met.
don't know if I ever told you about her.
We met at a DRI show, reveals Michelle. Despite my appearance, I wasn't a groupie. We both worked for the band. Okay, when asked to reflect back on the seductive, charming attributes that first attracted her to Doug, Michelle
It's gotta be
said,
my flowing mane.
well,
Close.
hold that thought.
I mostly said that for Jerome.
Well, she did respond, Doug. She said, I liked his long hair and short pants. And he was a breath of fresh air after the psycho I had been dating. Now Doug's romantic nature was soon thrust into overdrive. He proposed to me on the Golden Gate Bridge, she recalls, with a dreamy smile, after my near freezing to death and almost getting mugged. Doug and Michelle were married on April 29th, 1995, right? In Chico, California. Now, abysmal weather seemed to haunt the couple, even during their charming ceremony. We managed to go through with the wedding, recalls the still blushing bride, despite gale force winds and rain, and me being extremely drunk.
I had to get her drunk so she could do it.
Okay, now their marriage has endured over 18 years, surviving long bouts of time apart, and what Michelle describes as Doug's curmudgeonly ways and hoarder tendencies. Okay. Let me conclude by saying that through tear-stained eyes, Michelle struggles to maintain her composure at the concept of Doug turning a rank, stale 50 years old. Courageously, she vows to carry on without Doug's youth by binge drinking, Botox injecting, using baseball memorabilia as firewood, ouch, and shoe
There's a
shopping.
lot of it I probably wouldn't even notice for a while.
May Doug's youth rest in peace.